welcome to A Year of HitchcockMovies.com. We are your hosts, Jeff and Diane, and this is movie number 34 from 1954, Dial M for Murder. And tonight, well, we're excited because we get to watch a movie called Dial M for Murder, so it's got to be good. And we do know it's got Grace Kelly in it, and Grace Kelly is just probably really great to look at. She was described as the most beautiful actress to ever grace the screen. Get it? But first, after the mediocre response audiences gave last week's I Confess, Alfred Hitchcock found himself kind of winding down his relationship with Warner Brothers. His very good relationship with Warner Brothers, though, and is sort of in a rush to finish this one, to start it and finish it, and get it done quickly. He does. We'll get into that in a bit. And we have to remember how long it took him to decide to do last week's movie, I Confess. He missed a whole year. There was no movie from 1952 because he was wasting time doing this. And he actually ended up feeling bad about that because Warner Brothers was so patient with him. He felt indebted to them to the point where he offered in writing to do a movie for Warner Brothers in the future for like no salary. And that's pretty cool, and they actually took him up on it, and he'll do 1956's The Wrong Man for Warner Brothers for free. So, but anyways, you know, though this is sort of the end for Warner Brothers, it must be remembered they did come to his defense and bail him out from his failed production company, Transatlantic Pictures, and now it becomes Warner Brothers that is having financial troubles of their own, and the reason is that it's 1953, and since 1950, since the early 50s, television is now becoming the big thing that people are doing to entertain themselves, and they're staying at home in droves. And Warner Brothers themselves actually were shut down for a period of time in 1952, 1953 or thereabouts because there was just nothing to do. So why is this relevant to us? Well, as a gimmick to get audiences to leave their homes and come out to watch movies, they developed the technology to do movies in 3D. Yeah, 3D. And it worked for a little while, and the timing was just right that they really wanted this movie to be filmed, and it was in 3D. Alfred Hitchcock wasn't crazy about it, and when they were doing it, most of the actors knew that this fad was passing, which it did, and it was never going to be released in 3D anyways, but it was truly filmed in 3D with 3D cameras, and you know, the whole idea was to make it in 3D, and that's very interesting. Robert Osborne, in the little featurette on the DVD, talks about 3D at the time and reminds us it was those sort of cardboard paper glasses with the blue and the red that gave everybody headaches. That's one of the reasons that it was a fad that didn't go. But you know, but you can't see it in 3D today because you're watching it on a DVD and it's on your television. You can go to a theater occasionally. They'll run it for a week in big cities like New York or San Francisco or Los Angeles, and you know, that's interesting. And if you're watching this YouTube video in the future, you might be sitting down to watch Dial M for Murder in 3D, because it's my understanding that in 2012 there will be a Blu-ray release of Dial M for Murder. But in the meantime, we'll just have to sell it for one-dimensional. But see if you can tell. I mean, see if you can see, oh yeah, this clearly was done in 3D, or whether Alfred Hitchcock was maybe a little more subtle with it. We'll just have to see. So our film tonight was based on a play, a hit play from 1952 that was a big hit in London's West End and New York, called Dial M for Murder, written by Frederick Knott. And Alfred Hitchcock was no dummy. In this particular case, he brought Frederick Knott in to adapt this play, work on this project, and basically write the screenplay for it. That's Frederick Knott in the photo sitting next to Grace Kelly. Get it? There's a knot on his chair. Frederick Knott, for interest's sake, also wrote a play called Wait Until Dark. He wrote it in 1966, and it was turned into an Audrey Hepburn movie in 1967. Fantastic. Very Hitchcockian, so good. So who's in this thing? Well, as mentioned, Grace Kelly is in it, and this is the first of 3 films in a row that she'll star in for Alfred Hitchcock. Next week's Rear Window, and the following week's To Catch a Thief, after which she will make just 2 more films in her career, and at the tender age of 26 she will retire from filmmaking altogether. Why? Well, we'll talk more about that because we've got a couple more Grace Kelly movies to get into, but those of you who already know can imagine how upset Hitchcock was about that. So she's in it, and also in it, playing her husband is Ray Milland, and Ray Milland won an Oscar for his portrayal of an alcoholic in the movie The Lost Weekend from 1946, and playing her boyfriend in it, her lover in it, is he plays an American murder novelist guy. Well, it's Robert Cummings, and he of course was our hero in the Alfred Hitchcock movie Saboteur. Kind of a big star, as was Ray Milland. Grace Kelly, a huge star, even though she had a short career. She had been nominated and has already won an Oscar, a Best Actress Oscar, for the film The Old Country and Country Girl? A Country Girl. We can't get it on Netflix, so we haven't seen it. But anyways, this was a big deal. So very good. Now the music is done in this film by Dmitri Tiomkin, and that's the last of his 4 movies that he'll work with Alfred Hitchcock. Hitchcock loved him, and we thought the music was pretty good. If you're a big Dmitri Tiomkin fan, and I know one of you out there is, you're going to be sad, but that's it for him. And the cinematography is done by, of course, Robert Burks. Of course, the favorite cinematographer of Alfred Hitchcock. This is the 3rd of his 12 Alfred Hitchcock films. And that's interesting here because tonight's movie is one of the 4 limited setting films that Alfred Hitchcock made. The first being Lifeboat, then Rope, of course, tonight's Dial M for Murder, and next week's Rear Window. So let's see what happens. I mean, are we going to see some great cinematography because of that? It is anybody's guess. That's pretty cool. So good. Like I say, getting back to this being a play, we've seen lots of examples of filmed plays, and some good, some bad. So will we see a difference with this one? So good. Now, interesting. There's a brief intermission on the DVD here, and they keep that in there for you. The reason that's there was because in its initial run in theaters, it took them a long time to change those 3D film reels, I guess, and basically that's why they're doing that. And the other thing to keep in mind is, this was 3D, and the cameras themselves were huge and clunky, and you can imagine the little we know about Alfred Hitchcock, that probably was very frustrating for him. So we'll see if that has an impact. So good. So here we go. Filmed in brilliant color, and as I mentioned, in 3D. From 1954, Alfred Hitchcock's Dial M for Murder. Let's watch.